Hey, everybody. It's great to see you, I guess, kind of sort of see you here this evening. Welcome to Digital Smile Design. My name is David Rice. I think I've probably met most of you in some way, shape, or form, either here at Viva Learning or out at one of the trade shows, Chicago, Boston, New York, Cali, oh my gosh, all over. In fact, anyone who's going to be in Utah this upcoming week, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media platform at Ignite DDS. I'm going to be there next week. So it would be great to actually see each other live and in person. Anyway, our topic tonight, digital smile design. For those of you who've not met my team in the past, this is my team. Although I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, I practice in East Amherst, New York, which is essentially Buffalo. So I may have the longest commute in dentistry to get back and forth to the practice, but I love it. These guys are worth it. They are clearly a happy crew and pretty darn inspirational to me every single day. So I like to bring them with me in presentations like this because, as all of you know, it's tough for us to do all of these things by ourselves. In fact, our topic tonight, digital smile design, I would argue, when we are on our A+ game, is far more team driven than it is you and I driven. That's when we know we are doing things really at a high level, when we've got a highly engaged team and they are doing a lot of the work. We are just in charge of vision and systems and process and strategy and direction. So shout out to all these gang from Buffalo, New York. And love this picture. I show it every time I speak, or some version of it, but I love it for two reasons. On the right, many of you have also met my better 9/10, Anastasia. Anastasia has been a speaker in dentistry for, gosh, I think longer than I have, maybe like 17, 18 years, and has kind of moved on and added some things to her repertoire, talking about healthy boundaries and cool things. So I like to have her with me when I speak. And the other young lady in that image with her, you know her too. You just know her by a different name. That's our friend Karen and Jacobson. And Karen, you know, is Siri. So I include Karen in this particular presentation for a very specific reason. Because when it comes to digital smile design, all of us here tonight, we're starting in a different spot. And I bet many of us here tonight have a different destination. And when we talk about what Siri does, what Karen does for us from a GPS standpoint, she helps us get from where we are to where we want to be. And it's really, really important, I think, for all of us to frame the story this evening with, wherever you are, you're in the right spot. Wherever you want to go is your destination. How you get there, whether you get there quickly, you want to take a plane, you want to zip there fast, that's up to you. We're going to talk about some pathways to do that, and I'll give you my information if you want to follow up. I'm happy to help after tonight as well. Some of you aren't going to want to go that fast. Maybe you even want to take the scenic route. You're going to want to take your time. You're going to walk, you're going to ride a bike, but you're still going to get where you want to go. Just going to get there how you want to get there. So I want to encourage all of you that the most important part of all of the things we're going to talk about tonight is, be okay with where you are. Be great with where you want to go, and be really, really happy with how you'd like to get there. Because if you go at somebody else's pace, or you go to somebody else's destination just because it's the thing to do, then you're not going to be as happy as you could be. And I'm a big, big fan of all of these things that we do in dentistry. We should be pretty darn happy doing them. So let's talk lay of the land. These are the things that we promised to talk about tonight, so we're going to hit them. Number one, we're going to talk about building patience. We're going to talk about practice growth and profit through digital smile design. This is, not just an amazing way to do better dentistry and fun dentistry, which is going to really get your team fired up and your patients fired up in so many ways, but this is a way to build patient base. This is a way to build profit. And there are lots of components to this. We're going to cover a bunch of them. Number two, we're going to talk how to streamline your systems to get your patients to yes, fast and effectively. And, I kind of look at this where we are today is, two big types of dental practices out there. So some of you who are here with us tonight, you're in an out-of-network practice. And that's a great practice style. And if you're out of network, I'm guessing you want to profit from doing great dentistry. Others of you here tonight are in a more PPO style practice. I work with about 6 of your type of practices every year, kind of to show you how to improve process systems, but with reimbursements moving in the direction they are, especially for you young dentists who are here with us tonight, you need to streamline your process. So this is really important, whether you're coming here this evening as an out-of-network practice or a PPO practice. You may have slightly different motivations, but big picture goals are still really important to streamline systems. Number 3, how to develop one or more virtual treatment columns. And I want to caveat this one because there are some practices out there, if we're just being totally honest, who don't do this necessarily the right way. So we're going to talk about some right ways to do this evening. I don't want you to try to treat all your patients at home and have them never come to your dental practice. That's not the goal of developing virtual treatment columns. The goal really is to just be streamlined, be more convenient. And I'm going to show you some big reasons why in just a slide or two here. So we're going to hop right into this, and we're going to begin where we promised to begin, and that's with building patience. So if you and I want to build our patient bases, if we want to grow the dentistry that we do, it is very, very helpful to understand how our patients think. So I'm showing you this for a reason. There's a lot of information we could dive deep into that talks about how to speak to each individual patient based on their past experience, based on their behavioral style, but we don't have a ton of time to dive terribly deep into that. So I want you to just watch this video because this is how your patients buy today. This is how many of you buy today. Your patients want what they want it when they want it, they like it how they want it, and just like in that little video, it often involves technology to make it happen. They want fast, they want effective, they want convenience. And just like this t-shirt buy, 44 seconds from start to cart, you and I could unplug that t-shirt and you could plug in any item that somebody purchases that you want. And as it pertains to you and I, we can plug in the dental experience. So, as we go through this tonight and we kick this off, I want you to answer a couple questions for yourself. What delivers a better patient experience? A mouthful of impression material or a digital scan? Think about that, especially in terms of what Amazon does all day, every day for your patients and you and I. What delivers a better patient experience? More appointments to get the job done or less appointments to get the job done? And guys, I'm not saying that we can't be great at our job with physical impressions or that we don't sometimes need multiple appointments to deliver excellence. I really don't want anyone here bringing that home as the take-home message. That's not the message. What I'm saying is, in our practices today, when you and I go digital, we can deliver what our patients want, when they want it, how they want it, a whole lot easier than what we've done in the past. Our ability to take everything we've done in the analog space, everything we've done in the physical world, and bring it to the virtual world, the digital world, is here. And almost everything is possible today. And I'm here to tell you guys what isn't 100% possible today is going to be possible in the next few years. So this is home base for us today. Check this out with me. We scan, we analyze, we educate, we deliver treatment all digitally, and it's amazing. I put this on there, it's yours truly, because not only can we do this with our scanners themselves and software that comes with it, there are plenty of apps out there to do it. This one is Digital Smile Design. There are many others out there. Based on the scanner you use, you may have this software in your system, but imagine, in essence, we can upload data and we can diagnose data. We can plan big cases, small cases. We can take measurements that are translatable and accurate. Now, not just things that we see on a screen, and we can bring them to 3D printed models, and then to next level restorative care, orthodontic care, removable care, all the cares out there, dental implantology. The world is our oyster. So I want you to work with me for a few minutes here in this example. In your practice, patient presents. What if you said two big buckets on the most basic level? What problems can a patient present with? Think about that for a second. Because they probably present with a problem that is either tooth-driven, or maybe the tissues surrounding their teeth, or they come in with a problem that isn't tooth-related at all. They don't even have teeth, which, by the way, none of you will be able to unsee the toothless Jennifer Aniston. I'm sort of sorry about that, but I want you to think about process as we start looking at this whole digital experience. Think about systems in today's digital world. Whether you have a patient who presents in bucket A, they have a tooth or tooth-related problem tissue, or they have no teeth. Patient walks in the door. How can you and I capture whatever it is our patient presents with? Because we can scan them, right? And there are lots of scanners. We'll sort of touch on that. We can scan them, or we can physically impression, right? We can go analog, or we can go digital. And being here tonight, I'm guessing, most of you here are DMG fans. DMG has done an awful lot for us in the restorative space. And if you're in the physical world right now, I'm sure you know Honeygum as a physical impression material, and that's an incredible material. I use it daily for lots of things, but most of what we do in our practice is very, very digitally driven. So not in the analog world. How do we capture what a patient presents with? We scan them. And with that, you guys know this, right? There are plenty of scanners out there to choose from. We'll deal a little bit more with them later. If you have questions at the end, we can deal with them. And again, afterwards, I'll give you my information. But for now, suffice it to say, there are lots of choices. Some of those choices are okay. Some of those choices are pretty darn good. And some of those choices in the scanner world are excellent. So choose wisely. That's step one. So once we scan, then what? Step two. This is what most practices do, right? They get a scan, they scan quickly with the goal of getting to a diagnostic workup, right? Most practices treat a scan like they treat a physical impression. We want the data. We have a modality to get from what's in a patient's mouth to get that recorded, in this instance, on a computer screen, to either diagnose or take a look at a problem we're trying to solve. And that's not bad, right? That's not bad. But here's something to think about. I want you to think about maybe a better step two, where yes, we scan and our goal is to get to that diagnostic workup, but there's a gap, there's a pause, and a big opportunity if you and I are willing to take our time before we jump into that diagnostic workup. If we're willing to pause for a second, maybe this is an improved step two. Think about what you and I can accomplish if we stop for a couple minutes after we scan and we show that scan to our patients. This is where the whole, quote, right scanner or scanners come into play. It's not just one, there's several of them out there, but some scanners do this step much better than others. So what can you and I accomplish when we pause and show our patience? How about these two? First, we can engage our patient. It's this whole co-diagnosis thing we learned about in school way back in the day, 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago for some of us who are here tonight. But when we do it digitally, we massively level up. Our first goal tonight is to talk about building patience and profit, right? So when we engage our patients, and then step two, when we educate our patients, our case acceptance, it blasts through the roof. I want to add a third one too, because think about this for a second. How many of you look at your patients today and you think, my gosh, they're pretty good at accepting like the basics of what they need. Maybe it's, they're taking care of their perio, maybe not. Maybe they're taking care of like decay, but are they treating the big picture? Are you doing complete care? How many of you want to level up, right? That's where the whole building patient base and building profit comes into play. So here's a third I'd like to add, because if I'm your patient and you show me my scan, there are reactions that I give you as my dentist, right? Think about what your patients do when you show them something. It's show and tell time. Maybe you're using an intraoral camera to do it. Maybe you are already using a scanner to do it. Maybe you're a picture drop, but think about things that your patients do. First, if your patients are anything like mine, some of them ask questions. And some of them ask those questions out loud, right? Is that easy for us to empower them when they ask a question out loud? Is it easy for us to keep them engaged and educated when they ask a question out loud? So much easier. Other times, and this is the one I think many of us miss as dentists, it's not even so subtle to us. Like, it's really crystal clear what they're doing to you and I, but we just don't take advantage of it. But sometimes, they ask us a question with facial expression, don't they? You ever seen that patient, who they're looking at something on your screen? Maybe it's a radiograph, maybe it's an intraoral camera picture, maybe it's a scan, and they give you that, like, what is that face? Or the, oh my God, that's me face. It could be a 35-year-old restoration, it could be decay, it could be just a lesion, something, it could be anything that they see, but we've all seen that patient. And too many times we let that patient just sort of skate from there. We don't address the emotion that they're feeling because they haven't spoken words. So here's a tip. When a patient asks you a question with their facial expression, here's what I want you to say. Let's pretend it's me. David, I am seeing a look on your face that's speaking louder than anything you could actually say. Can you tell me what you're thinking right now? Guys, I'm telling you, if you do that, because our patients make faces all the time, you're going to build your patience and your profits at least 10% tomorrow. It is that powerful when we do that. This is where scanners really level up our game because they're dynamic. It's not just an image. It's a three-dimensional virtual process that we can rotate, we can show, we can open, we can close, we can bring our patients along the journey with us, and we can empower them to either physically ask us that question or facially share, like, oh my God, what the heck is that? And that's when we need to jump in and we need to get them involved. Because when we take our patients from that scan to engage, to education and empowerment, we have what every young dentist, so young dentist, if you're watching, this is your goal, right? And I don't blame you. And seasoned dentists, this is what you and I need to be doing more of, but we already have what you want on Instagram. We have influence. We have the ability to build value. Our patients actually ask for dentistry. They're actually then, once they've asked for it because they understand it and they desire it, they actually pay for it without complaining. That is a big game changer for patient care and leveling up. That's how we build patients referring us more patients and build profit centers in our practice because of this digital experience. So that's sort of step one in this whole building major profit center. Here's where it gets fun. This is the next step in it all. This is where it takes off. It's how we handle that digital data. It's what we do with the scan that really, really matters. So we're now going to engage, we're going to educate, we're going to empower a patient, and then we're going to take it to this whole other level. And the cool thing with this digital space today is we have options, right? We can do this a few ways in our practice today, which means you don't have to do it the way I do it. If my way isn't the best way for you, you can choose your own path. It's the whole Karen Jacobson thing, right? It's the whole Siri thing. Where are you starting? Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? So we have options, right? Option one, process. We can take our data from our scan and we can send it to our favorite lab. Now, the right system, the modality of how we get it from our practice to a lab matters. Just like there are great scanners, there are great systems and platforms for you and I to use to take that data and make tremendous use of it. Because you know this, right? If any of you have been practicing for more than 6 months, my gosh, you know this. You and I want this whole process to be easy for us as dentists, right? We want it to be easy for us. We also know that this process needs to be simple, intuitive, seamless for our team. Because what happens when something we bring into our practice isn't easy? Nothing gets done. And we end up doing the same thing that we've always done, right? We're stuck in a rut and we wake up 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later doing the same darn thing we always did. So option one is we can scan, and with the right system, we can get it to a lab. Option two is that we can also choose is we can take that data and we can work with it within our own practice four walls, right? We're going to talk about a phenomenal system tonight. It's DMG's Dentamile. It's phenomenal. And I like it because it does exactly what I just said. It makes both working with the lab and working within our four practice walls easy, because I don't have time to teach my team to be lab technicians. I'm guessing you don't either. When I want to 3D print something in my practice, I want everyone on my clinical team. And I mean everyone. I want assistants, I want hygienists, I want everyone who touches this technology to be able to design and print. And from there, we still have options, because again, I know some of you are going to want to manage this different ways, and all the ways are okay. I want to caveat that statement. All the ways are okay, but I want you to remember that video about buying a t-shirt in 44 seconds. Remember how Amazon treats their customer, and now without compromising patient care, without compromising quality, I want you to think about how can you best improve your patient experience. This is a major way to do that. So option one, if we're going to keep this in our practice or send it out, I just want you to think big picture right now. Option one is 2 appointments. Your patient comes in both times. So 2 in-person appointments. That's an option. You can scan and send it to your favorite lab. Your patient then comes back for a second visit. Maybe it's a splint, maybe it's a surgical guide, could be a sleep appliance, could be clear aligners, could be whatever. That's one option in this process that you can choose, right? Kind of the way you do it now, but maybe unplugging the physical world and plugging in the digital world. So still gaining all the benefits of the scanner and process and streamlining for your team, which we haven't even gotten to the benefits of your team. And time savings, my God, the time savings we experience. So that's option one. Option two, still 2 appointments, but this one's different. And this one also begs that last piece of the puzzle that I promised to talk about tonight, which is virtual columns. So I want you to imagine that your first appointment is in person. You're scanning. You're still not comfortable. Maybe you don't want to do this all in one day. Maybe you can't do it in one day. But I want you to imagine that the second appointment could be virtual for lots of the things we do. So think about your ability to have virtual consults. Think about what I showed you with my image, and you collect all the data with the scan, but you're not really that proficient with the technology yet. That's okay. You want your patient to go home, but you scan it. You've got a big treatment planning. Maybe it is for Invisalign. Maybe it's for a big restorative case. Maybe you just want to talk diagnostic photos, virtual models, whatever that may be, but you can do it with your patient and they don't need to be present in your practice. And I want you to remember that Amazon buying video, because how much more convenient is that for your patient? You already have all the tools. You already have all the records. They don't need to come in to have a conversation. And the more you and I get comfortable with maximizing this virtual space is part of how we do what we do with our patients, the more your patients will get excited to come to see you because they like that how. I'm sure, I am 100% sure you have all heard, do I really need to come back for that? And truth is, some things we need those 2 appointments in person, right? Sometimes we need them. And when we need them, I don't want you to disregard them. But lots of times we can have 1 in-person appointment and have that second appointment be virtual. I just literally, it's maybe a month ago now, was in a practice and they are running multiple virtual columns per day. Now they have an assistant whose only function is to run the virtual columns. And that assistant passes the virtual baton to the dentist in the practice. They book, they schedule, just like you would schedule an in-person appointment. And they do aesthetically driven consults. They do Invisalign consults. They do lots of different consults. And they also do, we'll talk about this later, lots to do in the whole clear aligner process that streamlines their day. Amazing what is possible when you and I are willing to take this digital experience and think just a little bit differently. Then I want you to think about this. I want you to think about the possibilities for same day. You scan, you virtually show me my straight teeth in under 2 minutes with Invisalign. Talk about case acceptance. And I'm going to mention a scanner here only because it applies to Invisalign. It's not to say that iTero is the only awesome scanner out there. It's one of them. But there's a massive difference if you have an iTero scanner and you scan, and in less than 2 minutes, I can actually see me on the screen finished. That's case acceptance, big time. And it's not just in that space, right? You can scan and you can, when you get proficient at this, because some of these systems are amazing. DMG system is so simple to use, but you can scan. And when you get your whole team involved, maybe you design and you print my occlusal splint. Maybe you print my custom trays. Maybe you get going on that big case today. Maybe you print that surgical guide and you start the work today instead of bringing me back. So I want you to think about those 3 categories. 2 appointments in person, 2 appointments, one's in person, second one's virtual, and then 1 appointment, the ultimate in the Amazon experience, right? That's how we make things super convenient for our patients, which helps us segue to like all the different possibilities that are out there. So we're going to just touch on all the things we can do digitally, and each one of these could be a full day course, right? There's a full day strategy. In fact, I've got one coming up in a couple months on digital dentures, but you know, this stuff is incredible. Plus, I kind of wanted to torture you one more time with Jennifer. So sorry, I promise you no more toothless Jennifer. But look at all the things we can do. And this is just a short list, right? So top left of the screen, you and I could scan and mill. We can do that with full coverage all ceramics. We can do that with partial coverage all ceramics. And FYI, one of the few things that we aren't 100% capable of today, but we're already getting close, is the ability to print definitive restorations, crowns, onlays. We can print temporary materials. That's here. There are some good ones. So we can do restorative care. We've got veneers on the upper right. We can scan those. We can send those using our software. We can do bridges. We can do sleep appliances. We can do clear aligner therapy. We can do occlusal guards. We can work with dental implants. And yes, we can even 3D print denture bases. There are lots of things that you and I can do. The key is to understand, where are you? Where do you want to go? And at what pace do you want to learn? And then the other key is to make sure that as you make investments today, which is what we're going to talk about now, streamlining systems, is that you make good choices for yourself. Because you've heard me mention the word systems at least 15 times already. Why? Because the data shows that 94% of our success lies in them. It's not to say that the 6% of our success that is human-based doesn't matter. It's a really important 6%. And those of you who've heard me speak before know that I'm a big investor in the humans in my practice. Our team matters. Our team training matters. The things we bring to human behavior based on generation, based on behavioral style, based on gender and culture, and all these things matter. But 94% of our success is very, very systems based. So let's start at the beginning of this equation. This digital experience begins here. It begins with scanners. So I'm not here to tell you which scanner to buy, but from a systems standpoint, if you want to scan and mill in your practice, then buy a system that takes you from start to finish. It's logical. But if you don't want to scan and mill in your practice, then you probably don't need to invest in a system that will take you from start to finish. You should invest in a different system, because all of these systems, all of the other ones too, but all of these systems allow you to scan and 3D print, which we're going to talk a lot about. Because as much as I love my scanner, I'm here to tell you, pound for pound, my 3D printer was the investment that I recouped faster than anything by a long shot. And we scan a lot in our practice, and we did from day one. So I want you to think about this concept and the platforms that we're really going to hone in on tonight, because they matter. That said, digital process, this stuff matters, right? So I want to give you some tips to take with you, because there are practices that do that really, really well. They do it at a very, very high level, and they're winning because of it. And then there's lots of other practices out there. So tips: total clinical team integration. It's important that all of your assistants can scan. It's important that all of your hygienists can scan, because the way to become proficient with this technology is to scan every new patient. It's to scan every hygiene patient. It's to scan every restorative patient. You and I need to do this. Our team members need to do this when we want to get great at it. And when we want to build patients, because I've never met a patient who wants a mouthful of impression material when you compare it to a scan. Never, not one time. So when we frame the story and we scan every single patient, and we ask them if they've ever had an impression before, because most of them had it growing up for orthodontics, right? Pre-clear aligners like brackets, wires, the whole 9 yards. I had it 3 times in my lifetime. All we remember is the gobs and gobs of alginate that impressioned our teeth, our palate, our throats, and the whole 9 yards. So when we ask a patient if they've ever had an impression before, and they make that face, that's when we need to call out, "Oh my God, David, your face is telling me way more than your words could ever share. Please tell me what you're thinking." And they're going to tell you, "Wow, that scan, that was it? That was easy? That was fabulous. That took 2.5 minutes." And they're going to go tell 10 people about how your practice is different than your neighbor's practice. So get in the habit of doing this. Get in the habit, because every time you scan and you take that pause, take that gap, you have the ability to engage, to educate, and to empower every single patient. And then you have the ability to start walking a really, really cool path in printing. Because when you're ready for a 3D printer, which, whether you guys know it or not, I'm just going to be honest, whether you know it or not, you all are ready for a printer. Printers pay for themselves in under 3 months. And for most of you, it's going to pay for itself in a month. In a month. So long as, just like we've talked about, you buy the right printer. It matters. Here are some things that I love about 3D printing compared to having a team member perform some tasks. First, and of all these, which are really, really great, this one might be my favorite. With a 3D printer, you and I get to maintain our patient focus. Stephanie, Christy, Holly in my practice never need to get up and invest time pouring models in the back. They don't have to do it anymore, right? They've got a piece of technology that's going to take all that time. It's going to eliminate it. So there's some great strategies. We'll talk a little bit about those, but it allows you and I to maintain patient focus. That's the goal, right? Build our patients, build our profits. We can do that best when we're chairside, spending that time with them. Number two, shrinks your to-do list. I'm here to tell you that happy Stephanie, Holly, Christy means happy David, Mark, and Laura in our practice. And when we shrink the things that they need to do, because we've got an amazing piece of technology to do it, we're winning. Shrinks your costs fast, crazy fast, guys. I can't emphasize that enough of you. This is a very inexpensive technology for you and I to integrate. And last and certainly not least, it becomes a teammate. And I love my team. Those of you who know me, you know I love my team. I show you that picture every single time because I love my team. But this is a teammate who never gets sick, who never calls in, who never asks for more money in another month. You all know that we are amidst this massive team crisis in dentistry. FYI, sidebar, it's not going away for at least 2 to 2.5 more years. Most of the pundits out there who rarely agree on anything at all agree that we've got another few years of this. So think about how this technology can actually be a teammate for you and help you solve that problem. Now, just like there's lots of scanners out there, some are good, some are great, some are amazing. There are plenty of printers out there, plenty of them. And there are too many reasons to go into why I like DMG's 3D Max printer. If you want more information from me on all the whys, I'm going to give you my email at the end. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to offline, kind of walk you through all the things that make this excellent. I'm going to ask you, if you do email me, I'm going to just throw this out there now. Please give me a week or so after this because I'm going to be traveling and doing some speaking. So I'm not ignoring you if I don't get right back to you. I promise that I will. Don't be shy to ask. It's the fastest way to learning things. But here's the short story. Number one, it's a complete system. And word of the night, system. Many 3D printers are not complete. So many times you and I go by the printer, and then there's this wash thing we need to go get, and then there's another piece we need to go get. This is a complete system. Short story number two, take a look at that dartboard for me with a second. So it is both precise and accurate, which means this is one of the very few systems out there that is validated. Many 3D printers are not. So take our example of the darts. Image on the left, let's pretend we're trying to hit the bullseye, right? That is precise, but it's not accurate, right? So we threw a bunch of darts very precisely. They all landed in the same spot relatively, but we weren't accurate. We weren't anywhere near the bullseye. Then the middle images were accurate, right? We kind of hovered around the bullseye, but really didn't hit it as much as we should. So we're accurate, but we're not precise. What you and I want for our 3D printer, and I'm going to say we want this for all of our technology, but you and I want, in order to be validated, like DMG's 3D Max is we want accuracy and precision. Because I'm just going to shoot you guys straight, and you know this. You've heard this. You're going to get somebody walk into your practice. They're going to say, we have a very precise printer, or we have a very accurate printer. All I need you to do for your own self is ask them if it's accurate and precise. And please make them show you that it's accurate and precise. That's what matters. At the end of the day, it's you, it's me, it's our team, it's our patients. Nobody's there to clean up the mess when we only get one out of the two, or we don't even get one out of the two, right? So how do we really streamline? It's DMG's Dentamile. I showed you this image earlier, diagnostic cast. And this is, we're going to walk through one example, making a splint, right? You can apply this to all the things I showed you on all the things we can do with a 3D printer, most of which we can do today easy peasy, some of which we do today in affiliation with the laboratory, but a lot of these things we do right in our practice. So it's the beauty of having a system like Dentamile because it's a system, right? So let's say this is all you want to do. So let's say you are the person who's sitting where you are today and your final destination is scan it, upload an STL file, and send it. Great. Dentamile is a cloud-based system. If you have one go-to lab, you can do that. You just you get a creator license, something called a creator license. You upload your scans, boom, you're done. Now, some of you are thinking, I want to scan it and I want to send it, but I work with more than one lab. You know what? Me too. So same Dentamile cloud-based software. Great system. This is why this matters. You can get a Creator Plus license and you can send to unlimited labs, as many as you want. That doesn't matter. Now, let's say you want to keep it in-house, right? Let's say your Siri and your destination is, I want to do a lot of things within the four walls of my practice. Maybe not everything, but lots of things. And in that case, it's okay because you can scan, you can upload a Dentamile, and you can actually print in your practice. It's just a different license. This is Amazon. This is our ability to do it. So we can scan it, we can design it, we can really design exactly the way we want, and then we can print. This is how you and I build maximum patients and have maximum profits when we keep it in-house. But I know not all of you are going to be ready for that, and that's okay. But it's the same Dentamile cloud-based system. It's just a different license. And I like that because what you and I don't need to do is pay for a lot of things that we're not using right now, right? I want you to have a system that allows you to expand all the things you want to do. But I don't want you to have to pay for something that you're not doing today. This allows you to grow into what you want to do. And that's amazing. So we had some scan tips. Let's talk about some printer tips for a second. First, I like a dedicated team member. Now, option. In my practice, because we have multiple docs and not everybody there is on the same day at the same time. And in our practice, we've trained everybody to use this. So we have a dedicated team member, but they rotate. Now you don't need to do that. You could just have one go-to person, but you know, sometimes people get sick and they can't press the button. So I want everybody to know how to design and press the button. Easy to do. The learning curve is super shallow. So if it's me and I'm you, I train all my team members, and on different days of the week or different weeks of the month, they rotate. So everybody is proficient at using the technology. Now, when it comes to diagnostic casts, if you do a lot of complete dentistry or bigger case dentistry, anything that you would need a model for, then I love batch timing those models. I love lunchtime, boom, batch, print. I love end of day, walking out the door, boom, batch, print. Think about the time that saves. Think about, in your practice, your version of Holly, Stephanie, Christy, who no longer need to leave you chairside. That's amazing. Now, the time that I change that, the times that we don't batch, are when we want to produce and profit and keep butts in seats, because there are plenty of days we can do that, right? There are plenty of days we can scan, design, and print that guard. There are days we can scan, design, and get aligner therapy like underway. So those are my sort of quote exceptions to the rule when I can actually build profitability same day. But in general, when we're just talking about diagnostic models, which for many of you will be the first thing you master, is just, designing and printing models. That might be the first thing you get really, really good at. Batching at lunch, batching at the end of the day is super, super effective. And then once you get really great at that, go ahead and add more things to it. So getting to yes. Part of this is scanning, part of this is printing, part of this is human behavior. This is where it kind of all comes together for us. But we have to remember Amazon, we have to remember that gap, and we have to remember that technology showing this to a patient on a computer screen blown up minimally 30 times gives us the opportunity to be powerful because it's interactive. A patient can feel it, touch it, rotate it, and experience it with us. That's number one win in getting to yes with the digital experience compared to what we've had in the past. Two super easy examples here. Upper right, you're looking at something called NIRI technology. Now, it's not designed for you and I to quit taking radiographs. It is designed, however, for every single person that we take films on today, and we think, oh my gosh, I'm not quite sure if that needs something today. I'm going to watch it. But it's amazing in 6 months to be able to take a scan and assess if things have progressed or not. Incredible interactive way, co-diagnosis, engage, educate, empower patients. Lower side of the screen. Another really cool way for us to, over time, assess, is recession going? Is a fraction growing? Is occlusal wear growing? Not every scanner does this. Some are really great at it. It's instantaneous. Again, I'm only going to use an example of things we do in our practice, but you can apply this to whatever scanner you have. I love Invisalign for this because instantaneously I can show them, here's where you are. That's where you're going in under 2 minutes. It's an amazing way to go. Third thing I really, really love, and this is a different app that's out there in dentistry, but it's all part of the digital experience. And like I said, many scanners allow you and I to do this, is it's legitimate. It's your patient. It's not an example. It's not a picture in a book. It's not a set of veneers that you did on somebody else. It's not whitening somebody else. It's not straightening somebody else. It's the patient sitting in your chair. This is how you get people to say yes, because, oh my gosh, is that simple for her to see? Like, that's her. Powerful, powerful stuff. So just a couple quick questions. They're rhetorical questions. I apologize. I'm not sure I love this when my dad used to do this to me, but they're really, really important because sometimes we think things matter that don't necessarily matter. So does age matter? That's Mae Musk, right? It's at the Elon Musk's mom. On the left, she's 19 years old, modeling as a career. On the right, she's late 70s. So to her, does age matter? Or is she as hip as ever today? Does she want to be engaged as ever today? About gender, guys versus girls. Doesn't matter when people have technology because we still have the ability to engage them, to educate them, and to empower them and learn what really matters most to each patient. Now, we are students in our practice of human behavior. It's an incredible thing to study. So I would tell you that if I was going to learn something non-clinical, I would really learn, because each of these 4 patients embraces technology a little bit differently. They all love it for a different reason. Michael Jordan is a driver. He likes results. So he loves technology because it gets him from A to Z faster than anything we can do analog. Gaga, she's like a trendy, she's a group person. She loves tech because it's cool and it's fun. Garth Brooks is kind of a stable guy. He likes it because it's predictable. And Mia Bialik, as, oh my gosh, an analytical person like you and I, she gets it. She understands the accuracy. She understands the precision that you and I can bring to the table. So with this technology, we can help learn what's most important to each individual patient. And when we do that, when we apply it, more patients say yes, and they're happy to pay, because most of them are asking us questions, either verbally or with their facial expression. Please remember to engage them when they do that. And last, I know I promised you guys virtual treatment columns, so we're right on schedule here. Quick review, because we did hit this earlier, but virtual columns, when we build these into our system, from day one, starting tomorrow, or if you want to Slack on a Friday, start it next week on Monday. It becomes easy. Once we collect our digital records, it's really just a matter of those 3 E's, right? We engage, we educate, and we empower. So we have to get our patients engaged by showing them their scans when they're with us. We educate them in 2 spots. We educate them in that moment, and we educate them that we will follow up with them virtually to review their care. So it's convenient for them, because none of them really want to come back and see us. It helps us to build virtual columns when we remind them of the convenience that is theirs. And then we empower them. We empower them to send us photos virtually, to communicate with us virtually. The wins in being home and being able to, pull in a significant other. Think about how many times a patient has said, "Oh my God, I need to check with my significant other to see if this is okay." So imagine, instead of even questioning that, we get all of our scans, we collect all of our data, and we set up a virtual appointment when they're with their significant other, at their home, at their work. Maybe one's at home, one's at work. It doesn't matter, but we set that appointment with both of them, and think about how powerful that can be when you and I start treating them the way they'd like to be treated. And that's what they're used to doing. So gang, this is a great email to reach me at. I am happy to entertain some questions here. I know there are a lot of us here. So if you have questions, now is a great time to type them in the Q&A or the chat, but I am here for you if you do. So we've got no open questions yet. I hope you're all still awake. Well, if all of you are in good shape, that is how you can reach me. And please do. What's the name of the app? So there's a couple apps. One of them was through Digital Smile Design. One of them was through IvoSmile. The last one I showed you was actually IvoSmile. 3Shape has the ability for us to do this. iTero has the ability for us to do this. Let's see, PrimeScan has the ability. There are lots of scanners out there that have built in the software the ability for you and I to do all these things that I showed you tonight. So you're welcome. Great to see you too. Let's see. How do we check which system of scanners and printers to go with? Are there reviews by practitioners? Great question. So I would tell you, the first thing I would do is when you're researching companies is you want to research people who've been doing this for some time and who invest heavily in R&D. So a lot of the reasons I've chosen the partners that I have in our practice for the last 28 years is for that reason. So there's a reason of all the printers out there in the world today, there's a reason I showed you 3Dmax. There's a reason we talked about Dentamile, because there's a team of people who not only worked on it, but who have a history of R&D and are going anywhere. If you've been doing dentistry for any one time, the kiss of death with technology, and dental implants are a really great example, is when a company launches something and then 5 years later, 7 years later, they're gone. Either the product line, the tech is gone, or the actual company has been bought and sold many times. So do your homework. Feel free to email me. Again, I don't really like to bring subjectivity to these programs, but I'm happy to share if you reach out to me, personal favorites and things that I've done my homework on. But I want to keep this as unbiased as I can. Let's see, app we got, awesome. So have any predictions for the future of scanner and printing prices? Sure, they're not going to drop like crazy, gang. Think of your smartphone. These technologies are going to continue to get better and better and better. In order for them to get better and better and better, there has to be R&D. Great companies do research. Less than great companies try to give you something cheap and sell it to you, and then they try to use the price point as a way to get it in our hands. And without naming names, I just, again, just do your homework. Do your homework, because it's you and me at the end of the day. So I wouldn't expect, in the next 2 years, the price is going to drop dramatically. I'm not a fan of like waiting around and thinking, oh my God, a year from now, it's going to be cheaper than today to get the same great thing. A year from now, the technology is going to be 5 times better than it is today. So if I'm you guys, I take the strategy we did. We did our homework, and then we jumped in the game, and then we grew with the technology and the partners that we work with. So can I show clinical cases by using digital smile design? It's not easy to pull up a second presentation. I apologize for that. I can like that image you're looking at right now was all digitally done. That was a 10-unit ceramic case, by the way. So it was scanned. It was diagnostically waxed. It was digitally waxed. We'll say that. We then had matrix templates made. We had prep guides made. And then obviously when our patient loved our temporaries and test drove them, and speech looked great, and aesthetics looked great, phonetics were strong, we then had a digital template to mill these units and then cut them back. So everything is possible in this process. Thank you, all of you, for being here. I really super appreciate it. Thank you for the great questions. I appreciate that too. I hope you all have a great evening ahead of you. And DMG, shout out to you for building some really great tools for us. Oh, wait, one more question. Is the cost of the equipment passed on to the patient? Are your treatment plans competitive? Awesome question. So yeah, guys and gals, if you invest in technology, your pricing should be commensurate with your investment. And that's not just in technology, that's with your continuing education as well, right? Don't get in the habit of, and dentists do this all the time, of, oh my gosh, it's just, an MOD, it's just an onlay, it's just a crown. If you're a dentist here tonight and you're investing in high-level continuing education, if you're showing up on Thursday night all the time, that's valuable, right? Just because you can do something more efficiently, faster for a patient, doesn't mean you need to lower your price. So yes, in our practice, we charge commensurate with the level of education our entire team has, with the technology we have, and with the customer experience that we provide for people. So don't be afraid of charging what you're worth. Don't be cocky, but you should be confident. When you walk into a treatment room and somebody says, oh my gosh, you're more expensive than the dentist on the street, smile and say, you know what? We are. Here's why. Show them all the reasons why. And don't show them your reasons, show them their reasons. We can be more convenient for you. You don't need to come back for a second appointment. We can have a virtual appointment with you today because we've invested in this technology. We can mill this the same day while you're here. There's lots of ways to do that. I guess one more question we've got time for. We're almost near the end here. Are there any scanners with a thinner wand than iTero? There are some that are slightly smaller, but I think what all of you will notice, it's interesting because 5 years ago there were some of the big players who had a smaller head to their scanner, and that was a selling point. And I will tell you that I own both a PrimeScan and an iTero. And if I'm going to mill something in my practice, I use my PrimeScan. It's great. But if I'm going to do anything where I scan and send, I use my iTero. Why? Because all the labs I work with like it better. So here's what's happened in time. The head of my PrimeScan is now just about the same size as my iTero, because what most manufacturers who, again, did their R&D realized is they need a certain sized head in order to get the technology in there to do all the things you and I want it to do. And I will tell you, I have used all the scanners, and I'm in a unique situation where I do get to use all the scanners to test them all, and they're all the same size, or within a very, very finite percentage of the same size of each other. So choose wisely there, choose wisely in the print, choose wisely in the system side of things as you print. And I hope you all integrate printing into your practice, and scanning and sending and scanning and printing inside your four walls is a dynamic way to grow, gang. So thanks so much. I think we're down to our last 30 seconds. I believe I hit all of our questions. Yes, I do recommend it for a single practitioner practice. That's where I started. So thanks for being here, everybody. Reach out to me if you need anything else from here on out. Cheers.